Hello everyone, today we are going to talk about the Mexico, the Copper Canyon and the Aztec ruin. Our group member is me Tunes number 7, you number 16, Ren number 22 and Ram number 28. Let's begin.
Here's a quick overview of Mexico. Mexico's full name is actually the United Mexican States. Now, if you put Mexico over the United States, it can actually cover 1/3 of it. That's because it's so big. Now, the most spoken language in Mexico is actually Spanish. Now, you might be thinking, wait, isn't it supposed to be Mexican because it's Mexico? Well, no, it's Spanish because a very, very long time ago when the Spanish came to conquer Mexico, they actually brought their language here, and now 90% of the population speak Spanish. Now, teaching everyone in the world, in Mexico, to speak Mexican would be really hard because that would mean teaching an entire generation to speak a different language. That would be like if Thai people were one day taught to say like Chinese, you gotta speak Chinese, right? You can't do that because there's like 3 generations who know how to speak Thai and that's their native language. But that's history. And let's switch to geography. Now, it's geography time. Now, what's interesting about geography is that it affects more things than you think it does. Geography affects how civilizations develop, or like the difference between like if you wanted to build a house on a beach, right? You would build it in a different way than if you were to build it on, let's say, a high mountain or along riversides or whatever, right? It affects agriculture, right? What kind of crops you can grow, or what kind of plants can grow there, or what techniques you have. Let's say you're near a river, you can just you don't have to worry about watering and stuff. There's a lots of things, right? Hunting. What kind of animals are there? Mexico is so diverse in its landscape and its species, right? Talk about species. There's something I want to talk about. Species. Talk about species. Let's go to flora and fauna. Whoa! Boom! Seamless segue. It's lightning mode. It's lightning time. Mexico is big. It's very huge, right? And so we got the first animal that I have for you guys today is the axolotl. Okay, the axolotl is this cute salamander thing, and it lives under the water. You can cut off its limbs, and it grow backs, and it's very cute. Okay, the next species we got is the vaquita. Now the vaquita looks like a dolphin and looks also like a fish, but it's also very endangered, and we gotta save it because it's gonna die soon. There's only like three of them left in the world. Now next we got the Mexican barrel cactus, which is a cactus that looks more like a ball in a barrel. But I'm gonna have to pass it on to Rain about Copper Canyon. Okay, that's it. Bye. Go.
Now let's talk about the Copper Canyon. Copper Canyon is UNESCO World Heritage Site that's very rich in wildlife. So this because the different altitude in different areas create different temperature in different areas also. So as a result, different type of animal and plants that live in different temperature can stay in different areas of Copper Canyon, creating a biodiversity of fauna and fauna. There are some plants that are native to Copper Canyon, such as the Copper Canyon daisy. However, most of the areas in the Copper Canyon are covered with pine and oak type trees, which are used for rubber supply in Mexico. Copper Canyon is the 8th largest canyon in the world. However, in reality, Copper Canyon consists of many canyons together as a system. So if we consider all of it, Copper Canyon will be bigger than Grand Canyon. Copper Canyon is also home to the Tarahumara type, which is the longest canyon. They are about 60 miles to 125 miles in a marathon. Copper Canyon was once used for gold and silver mine by the New Spain, who come in and colonize most of the Central America. At the current time, Copper Canyon is used for tourism purposes such as hiking, biking. However, the most interesting activity for the tourists is the zip line because Copper Canyon has the second longest zip line in the world. So now let's talk about Mexican culture. So the language, as you mentioned, is mainly Spanish, not Mexican. Okay, come to the custom. Day of the Dead is a celebration of life and death of the people who passed away. Also, some Mexican people believe that the soul of the people who have died will come back and join the ceremony. The next is Mexican head dance. So Mexican head dance is a national dance of Mexico, represent the romantic relationship of a man and woman. Mexico food is based on Mesoamerican cuisine. However, the method and the ingredients also come from Maya and Aztec, who mostly consume maize. After the Spanish colonization, there are also some Spanish influence on Mexican cuisine. Some of the example of Mexican cuisine is the mole sauce. Mole sauce best represents Mexico because in almost every festival there must be a mole sauce inside the food. The mole sauce is a spicy and sweet sauce. Okay, now we go to the next slide. Okay, now let's talk about Mexican clothing. So movement man who built with is the seafood tunic made from cotton wool. And the second is the Quisquemito. It's a festival type of poncho. Poncho is kind of a garment. Then the Jalisco tradition dress is a dress where they wear in some festivals such as the Mexican head dance. So you can see it from the picture above. Okay, for men they wear serape. It's a kind of a blanket worn as a coat. Also the Cairo suit is a kind of a cowboy suit. The sombrero is kind of a hat, the Mexican hat. You can imagine of a Mexican hat, it is something like that. And also other things such as the bata jacket and the poncho. And the region that is mainly Roman Catholic. Now let's pass to Ram.
For Mexico's demographic information, Mexico has around 130 million people as of 2020 and has a total fertility rate of 2.1, which basically means that one woman will have 2 children. And the estimate life expectancy of both sexes are 75.4 years of both sexes. And most of the population lives mostly in Mexico City. So for Mexico's climate, there is many climates, and first is a tropical wet climate, which is basically rain all year round, and this climate is really good for rainforest biomes. Second is the tropical wet and dry climate, which has mostly dry climate and sometimes rain, so that means that many plants have to adapt to survive. And the semi-arid climate is a climate that is related to the arid climate, but it has a little more rainfall, so that means that little vegetation can grow. Fourth is the arid climate, which is a really dry climate, and that means that little to no vegetation can grow, and it's really bad for agriculture. Fifth is the temperate with dry winter climate, and this climate is just the perfect climate for vegetation to grow. Sixth is the humid subtropical climate, which is really cold in winter and really hot in summer, but it has a lot of rainfall, so many plants can grow. And seventh is the Mediterranean climate, and for this climate, it has a really good freshwater source, so the plants that you can find there will be the native to the Mediterranean climate zone. For Mexico's environmental problem, first is a problem of its greenhouse gases. Right now, Mexico is the biggest greenhouse gas emitter in Latin America, and it is the 12th biggest greenhouse gas emitter globally. Second problem is the nation is now facing more climate-caused natural disasters, and these disasters varies, such as longer and more salty periods, more dry spells, more serious downpours and storms, and visit surge and mudslides. And third problem is that fields of tropical and subtropical woodlands are being bared for agricultural purposes, and these agricultural purposes can vary, such as livestock and agribusinesses.
Thank you, Ram. Alright, I hope you the listener are ready for the history part. Let's begin. In terms of the history of Mexico, in the 1376, a group of South Asians such as Indian and Pakistanis migrated to Latin America, which in that time they were known as the Indian people, and they were divided into 3 major groups, which are Maya, Inca, and Aztec. We will focus on Aztec Empire, the leader of the South Asian who moved people from their country to Latin America, named Acampistril, where he settled in the Texcoco Lagoon, which is now the Mexico City or the capital of Mexico. In that era, the Aztec Empire was so prosperous that it was the golden age of Latin America. The Aztec Empire domination system was a monarchy, in which the king was a leader and gave power to the nobility. The king will rule the capital city, but the noble will rule in different cities. Aztec people believe in God. The 3 gods mostly worshiped by the Aztec were God of the sun, God of the land, and God of protection. Aztec people worship this god by building temples and killing people in the open space. According to what I said, the Aztec Empire was a symbol that indicates the prosperity of culture, agriculture, governance, and economy. However, the crisis and chaos came after Moctezuma II became the ruler of Aztec. He made the tax higher, also he took more people to worship the god as well. And his knowledge in controlling the empire was so bad, we can say that weakness was his disease. After this happened, people came out and protested. European people named Cortes, a person who wanted to take over this empire. He was the leader of Spanish in that time, which was the perfect time for him. Then he came to Aztec and convinced some people in Aztec to help him take over this empire. He succeeded. This is also another reason why Mexican people speak Spanish, because the people who took over Aztec were Spanish.
Next, for the tourist information, we will cover the Aztec ruin, which is the Teotihuacan. Teotihuacan has been a long time in history, and it is still a mystery nowadays. Also, it is a large archaeological site with a complex of civilization and culture in Mexico. Accordingly, because of this reason, it was registered as a World Heritage Site by UNESCO in 1987. Historically, the place is 40 kilometers away from Mexico City. In the Teotihuacan site, it is divided into 3 parts, which are the Pyramid of the Sun, Pyramid of the Moon, and the Pyramid of Feather Serpent. Moreover, there's a road which surrounds this site called Anua of the Dead. You know what? These 4 names didn't come from the person who created it, but people who created this name for it were Aztec people. Aztec people believe that this is a place where the 5th sun was created, and God is living here. I know you guys have questions. Who created this? The answer is right here. We have no idea yet who created this. What language do they use, or when was it created? We have no idea, but the evidence that we got is quite trustable. The Aztec carving, which are in Aztec civilization, show that in the past around 1500 to 1000 before Christ, Teotihuacan is a prosperous place where everyone in the world was interested and came here to live. However, something strange happened. People in that area of Avenue of Death disappeared. They disappear without leaving any stuff that can show or tell some information in Teotihuacan. Not that hard, they still left some architecture, which is now Teotihuacan. Also, if you go inside the Pyramid of the Sun, you see the pottery of the Maya Empire and the bones of Aztec Empire. Oh, I forgot to tell you something. The Pyramid of the Sun is the 3rd largest pyramid in the world. Also, scientists also believe that approximately 25,000 people helped each other to build up this place. So this is all the information I got in the history zone. Move back to nowadays. This is a place where people come here to study about the history of the past. In 2000, 2 more annual events were at Festival Aerotástico Teotihuacan and Festival Musica para los de las Aerotástico Teotihuacan, or you can say that this is a summer ballroom festival, was added. Held every year since the year 2005. The event attracts approximately 15,000 people each year only in the festival, with an average attendance of 20 balloons. But in each year, around 1.4 million people visit this place. Activity that when tourists come to this place, they will travel around Teotihuacan by hot balloon flight. Also, you can rent to dive a balloon by yourself. The end. So this is all of the citation we wrote down on the slide.